Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. We're headed to the Commonwealth cabin. I'll tell you what, I am pretty much an optimist. I don't like to blow smoke though. I'm not exactly like a Pollyanna optimist, but I'm seeing some things that are really encouraging going on. I want to talk about those, and then a few things with eBay that, despite the encouraging things, there's a few things that some folks might have a concern about. I want to talk about those and a ton of sales. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, I'm starting this video out with two sales, one right after another that I didn't put on the last video and I should have. So we're going to start out with these two. They both sold for the same amount right here. This is a phone from 1963. Reminds me of the Rockford Files. Love that show. That one and this shirt right here, two totally different sales. Size large, embroidered, button-down Dale vintage shirt. These two both sold for $25 each plus shipping. You may know I also like to read between the lines. You know, sometimes something's happening over here, but there's a really different meaning or a purpose to it or something behind it. And so we're gonna do a little bit of that today, which means that I'm not 100% sure what I'm saying is correct, but some of this stuff seems a little odd, and odd, I think, in a good way. But I also have 29 things I think headed out of here for just around $1,000 or a little bit over, I think. So we're going to go through and pick and talk about this. I've been intrigued with this for last week, but I want to talk about it. Dragon Ball Z bucket hat, and that sold pretty good. I was surprised. $24.95 for shipping. Pretty sure I picked that up in Raleigh just a couple of weeks ago for $1. So $1 and a 25, I'll take those all day long. This one was actually I think I bought this over in a lot on dibdit.com from Reseller, I believe. I don't know where I got them. I can't remember. These are Goosebumps, but they're not high-end Goosebumps by any stretch. They sold for just under $15 plus shipping. Sometimes when something happens that I'm seeing in the community out there, if you will, I hate saying that, but it is, I guess, over on Trash to Cash Podcast, the different Trash to Cash Podcast Facebook group, the different Facebook groups that I follow over there, I started to see the same thing over and over from some folks, some lives that I watch. I started hearing about it. I'm like, And then I put what I heard on those together with something I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it started to make a little bit of sense to me. Let me know if you think I'm right here when I talk about this. The first thing was the shipping charges. The whole, go back a month or two, and eBay's voluntarily opting people into passing on their shipping discount to the buyer. I'm like, okay, that's not necessarily a good thing. So why for eBay? So why would they do that, right? Because now they're losing out on that bump in shipping where they charge fees as well. So there's got to be something going on, and I commented on it on there. I'm going to tie it to this. The other thing that I started to see a lot of is tons of people saying eBay has upped my selling limits. This voluntarily, up my selling limits. I can sell $1 million worth, or I can sell 500,000, or whatever it is. But I saw it all over the place. I continue to see it. Sold this, probably undersold this, to be honest with you. It's a Chargers Reebok shirt, but it's kind of, I don't know how vintage it is, to be honest with you. I think it's vintage, but it has the tag on it. It's not single stitch or anything, but it's size XL, brand new. And I put $15.95 on it, I think. And it's sold like that. I probably should have bumped this one up for sure. Football season around the corner, and the Chargers with new hope with their new coach. Probably should have bumped that sucker up to probably 20, and I probably still would have sold it. Had to turn my AC off back here. So eBay doing what they're doing over there and upping seller limits. You've got Whatnot. If you pay attention to Whatnot, Whatnot is heavily recruiting new sellers. And eBay, I don't see them recruiting new sellers very much. I think Mercari's doing that a little bit as well. But if you put all this stuff together, it started to paint a picture for me, and it's going to take me a little while to unfold it, but I really think I'm right. And a lot of this is good news, especially on the eBay side. There's some of it that's not great news, but I think a lot of it is. And I'll use kind of my anecdotal numbers, and they are just that. My numbers don't reflect everybody's on eBay, just like yours don't reflect everybody's. Every time we talk about sales are terrible, somebody says mine are great. If I say mine are great, somebody says mine are terrible. That's just the nature of things. But I do think we've got some good news, at least some anecdotal good news headed here into Q3. And hopefully as Q4 comes around, 3 months later. All right, I got my little small Campbell County bin. This is where I keep a lot of the vintage toys and stuff and parts and pieces for vintage toys. And unless I keep it over here on the shelves, which I sometimes do. I think this is it right here. It is a Star Trek piece. And from, 93 or something. This isn't super old. But it was in a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, man, you look up these pieces. All this different stuff. The Millennium Falcon and stuff that I had already sold. And you come across something that doesn't quite meet your requirement. Mine's $15 plus shipping. But I'm like, man, somebody wants that piece. And I'll probably sell it. It's so easy. So I decided to, and it only sold for $8.05 plus shipping. But you know what? It makes me happy. So if you pay attention to all social media, like I typically do, because I'm in the social media business, you see things. And I've talked about this on TikTok, and a lot of you watch TikTok, some of you don't. I actually don't watch very much of it, but I'm on there putting content on sometimes, and I see stuff because they just literally feed it to you. And I'm like, man, I see all these people selling. And they're selling stuff live. They're selling stuff in their little shorts. They're doing all this stuff. And a lot of it seems so super cheap, which makes sense because it's coming from China, right? And you're seeing the cost of some of these things, and they're just dirt cheap. I think a lot of folks over on eBay who used to sell that stuff have stopped. A lot of resellers that I know who do that, they stopped doing it. It's the resellers who sell what I sell and this kind of stuff and used goods and necessities and stuff like that aren't necessarily highly produced, highly manufactured, cheap stuff from China that are thriving on eBay right now. Not that those folks can't too. It's just a different marketplace. Amazon's making changes in a way that would compete with all those Chinese sellers and stuff and all these different social media things. I'm getting in the weeds a little bit, but I'm trying to make the bigger point here. You're starting to see lower cost of goods. This has been an inflationary economy, of course, and you're seeing certain sectors really racing to gobble up market share. And one way to gobble up market share is to make sure that your price points are lower, especially in a tougher economy like it is for a lot of people out there. And so they're having to compete for market share, not just the dollars coming in, because there's different ways businesses make money. We know this from Amazon, of course. Amazon didn't make money for a long time. They were just simply doing it better than everybody else, doing it cheaper than everybody else, and gobbling up massive market share. And then they capitalize on it like they have been for a while. Look at me selling shoes over here. I think these are retro Dion's, I believe. And I got them in a big giant deal at a yard sale. It was the first one there, and got a whole bunch of shoes. These sold for $40.46 plus shipping. And then, of course, you've seen the online live sellers, the whatnots, the districts. I'm on Dibjit over there, and you can find deals over there. And so it continues for the savvy buyer, for the person who wants to sit and wait or find the better deals. Those price points are going down for certain items. And I think this is driving part of eBay's strategy. I think it's probably a good strategy. Driving the price point down isn't necessarily good for sellers, but I think a lot of other stuff is good for sellers. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So the Boston Celtics hat, who would have thought it right now? It's a little faded, but it still had the sticker on it right there. And there's a Mitchell & Ness hat. And that one sold. I was happy with that. Sale $1 into $24.95 plus shipping. So the next part I've said before, but I'm going to continue to say it. Online reselling, selling, whatever, is growing. It grows all the time for almost all of these platforms. But market share is a huge indicator for future profits, just like I just mentioned with Amazon. And I think that because of the success of some of these other selling sites, that's now part of the factor for investors, say, into eBay, right? Yes, our profit's up. What does this quarter look like? What is that quarter? All that stuff's important. And, the whole promoted listing and bringing in more money and all that stuff. But at some point, if you continue to lose market share, you're going to also lose confidence in the future of a company. And I think some of these moves, coupled with something I think is very positive, are all to ensure more market share. So it's expensive. It's not, you don't make as much, if you're eBay, you don't make as much off of a new reseller as you do off of an existing reseller who ups their volume because they know what they're doing. There's less hassles, there's less returns, there's less customer support. So you want to keep the buyers that you have, and you want to, if you're trying to now pump more merchandise. So why would you want to up their selling limits? You got to ask yourself why. I love reading between the lines. Why all of a sudden is eBay doing this, or at least seemingly doing this? Because I'm seeing it everywhere. To me, I think the answer is simple. It is to increase the volume of goods that are on their site, because if you have more supply, you have lower costs. And I think that's what they want. They're trying to make, I think, and I don't talk to these people. This is just me looking at all the tea leaves out there. I think they would rather have their sellers who have been here producing more for them. And they can make money on the increase in volume because eBay is a place where people can find deals in a difficult economy if it's a difficult economy for them. So I really think this is a good thing that they are maybe not on purpose, but they're showing some goodwill to folks who have been selling and selling well on eBay. I mean, it didn't affect me. For most of you, it's like you've never even seen your seller limit because you've been selling for 20 years and it's sky high, whatever it is. So I think that's some good news, but I think hidden behind it is what I'm not hearing, and that's almost more important. Next item is an R2-D2. Shout out Uncle Steve on this one. In between him gobbling up all the golf clubs he could find at the 300-mile yard sale, he pointed this one out to me, and I'm like, oh, that one looks pretty good. We'll pick it up for a couple of bucks, I think. Can't remember, $3 maybe. $26.95. R2-D2 Intelligent, I don't know what it is. It looks cool though. It's got a little remote. $26.95 plus shipping. So here's what I'm not hearing as much this year. Well, there's two things. I'm not hearing as much about the summer slowdown as I have in the past. And I don't know, that's not to say there's not a summer slowdown. There definitely is a summer slowdown. I'll talk about my numbers here in a minute. I'm also not hearing the talk of, hey, I think all my things are being hidden. And now they're all live, and now everything's selling, and then they're being hidden, and now they're all selling. Look, I don't really know, but I know I can tell you this. I'm hearing less about it, and I'm also feeling this a lot less myself. I feel like if I plow into listings, I'm going to get immediate sales. And in the past, there's been times where I've done that, and the sales start flowing, and sometimes they don't start flowing. And it's, like I said, it's all anecdotal, but for me, I'm seeing the results of the work that I'm putting in very, very quickly, which is encouraging to me, and I'm going to get into that. So much cooler in the eBay cave here than out in that shed because I got to turn my AC off, but I keep it on in here. Tide cooler, of all things. So I picked this up at a sale not too long ago, and I probably would have left it. I think I paid 10 bucks for it, but it was the summertime, and I'm like, yeah, I'll probably be able to get rid of it pretty quick. Probably around 25 bucks, and I looked it up and it doesn't go for 25 bucks, but it did sell for $21 plus shipping. You know, eBay no company comes out and, tells everybody everything behind the scenes because that affects the value of their company, stock prices, board of all that stuff, right? They don't say it, but you can look and see what's happening sometimes and at least try to figure out what's going on. And I saw a lot of just odd stuff going on a year ago, maybe even a little bit more, maybe a little less actually. And all the changes they were implementing, there's no doubt they're investing tons of money into different systems. They've been dumping money. I've talked about the international shipping and all the stuff going on. I know I would be shocked if eBay's making a whole ton of money on the international stuff. There's so much red tape and bureaucracy. That's a whole other topic for another day. But all the investment in, I guess we could call it AI, but technology and things like that, and less investment in people. They cut their workforce back in January, of course. And a lot of that stuff, when you implement it, there's always snafus. There's always hiccups. This last little batch that came through of changes, I think a lot of it is kind of cool. I talked about it on a previous episode. I didn't see hardly any of those hiccups. I didn't see anybody, well, I shouldn't say anybody, many people complaining. I feel like their system right now is pretty good compared to how it has been in the past. And I'm hoping that they think it's good, and that's why they feel they're ready and pushing sellers that they already have to up their limits and to list more in anticipation of Q4. I'm hoping that's where we're at. Let me tell you, tell me if you think I'm crazy. Tell me if you think I'm Pollyanna out here and being, you know, everything is coming of roses. I just have that feeling, and I am naturally optimistic. I'm not pessimistic. But I just have this feeling that we're in for a pretty decent Q4 in spite of the fact that it's an election year, which is typically not a good sign. We'll see. You know, I've said before that in this, I call it like a mixed economy because it's different people are experiencing it in very different ways. There are people out there who are searching for deals to get by. And not that they're really hurt. This is a decent example, I guess, right? I would have never picked, I shouldn't say never. This is not stuff I like to pick up. And I certainly wouldn't pick up one-offs of these Adidas golf tennis shirts, I think. And they were all the same size. They were all good condition. So I was like, you know what? I'll just pick them all up together. Sell them as a lot. Somebody's going to want this. They're not exactly poor buying this stuff, don't get me wrong, but if they can buy this and save themselves, one of these brand new is going to cost you $45, right? They bought all of these used in good condition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them for $45, $50? I don't even remember. $44.95 plus shipping. They just saved themselves a whole bunch of money by searching it out. And I provided that deal for them, and I'm probably into them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No more than $15 at the very most. Probably less than that. I think they probably had 5 on them. I negotiated down to 3 by buying them all or something. I'm not quite sure, but $44.95 plus shipping. You know, I am bullish on reselling. I think that in any economy, it can succeed. I think in this particular type economy, it should flourish. I think we're seeing signs of it possibly doing that. And I'm not just talking about eBay. This is every online reselling site really has an opportunity to flourish, and it is a giant pool that is growing. It's not just one little pie that they got to carve up between the sites. The pie is constantly growing, in my opinion. That's why I'm everywhere, right? I hedge my bets. It's why I'm on District, have our own thing over there. It's why I'm on Whatnot. It's why I'm on Mercari. It's why I sell on, Bonanza and eBay. Monopoly, Mercari. Stranger Things is probably not the best pickup in the world. I picked it up thinking, you know, it was $1. And I'm like, I'll just sell these off and make 10, 12 bucks for the pieces. But then I was like, I'll list it all together. It's complete. I think we had it. It's only a $15 piece. And, a viewer bought this, and they used 5% off, I believe. Code Commonwealth to get 5% off. So it sold for $14.10 plus shipping. If you told me when I picked this up I was going to sell for $14.10 plus shipping, I'd been, they're a pain in the butt to ship sometimes. I don't know if I'd do it, but I'm happy I did because Stacy got it. Everybody tells me I got to watch Stranger Things. I don't really watch too much new TV, but they're like, you will love it. And from the looks of it, I probably will. I might even give it a shot. I don't watch too much television. Thanks for the deal. Love your videos. Non-stop workshop. Stacy, thank you. We appreciate it. I guess I'll give you my anecdotal numbers here really quick. My May was way better than last year. Way better. Like 4,000 plus better than last year. My June better than last year, even though I had an entire week of vacation in there. One day where I didn't make a sale at all. So, because I was on vacation. The store was open, but I didn't make a sale. And it's been really, really good just the last few days. This month over month here, we are up. Month over month, I'm up 36.8%. And part of that was last month, which was really good. But this month is shaping up to be as good or far better. So I'm encouraged that in the middle of the summertime, and we're working hard, we're getting this many consistent sales. And the view counts and all that stuff looks pretty good. I know there's a lot of people struggling out there, so don't get me wrong. It depends totally on all kinds of factors. But I'm feeling pretty good, not just about eBay, but about all of these sites. I will say this, on the live selling side, especially on Whatnot, for me, it has slowed. The summer seems to be, I think there's a little bit of a younger crew over there, and they're busy all summer long. Not that older folks aren't, we are. But I don't know. If you're a Whatnot seller, tell me how Whatnot's going for you in the middle of the summertime here. Sold a vintage tank top, Logo 7 Athletic, 1991 Bulls Championship. It does have a couple little condition issues. Single stitch. There's a logo 7 right there's an issue. And it's still sold for $22.45 plus shipping. There's one other thing I noticed with my numbers that I thought was interesting, and I'll talk about for a second. Toddler toes. I don't even know why I listed, to be honest with you. But you know what? I'm glad I did, because it's sold. This is the kind of thing that normally would sit there forever. Super cheap, but $8.96 plus shipping for toddle toes. Never even heard of it, but we'll take the sale. I actually think it says tattle toes. So, at any rate, we'll take the $5, $6 we'll make off of that, I suppose. The other thing I saw was that my repeat buyers have been down lately, which is a little different for me because I do have a lot of viewer sales, but I've had fewer and fewer viewer sales in comparison to the sales I'm making. Poor Poncho over here is digging through the floor again. It's all right, bud. It's okay. It's all right. I know it's hot. I'll turn the AC on in a minute. Oh, you're upset too? Okay. But the good news is that I'm seeing a lot of people buying for not first-time buyers necessarily, but a lot of people that have very, very low feedback scores, which is really cool. That means there are newer people coming to eBay. Now, I don't have the real numbers, so I can't say that definitely. But I can say for me, I'm seeing a lot of those first-time, second-time, fifth-time buyers buying for me. That's encouraging. Speaking of viewer sales, I didn't have too many today. At least I didn't think until I looked at that a little closer. And then one viewer, Becky, actually bought 3 things from us. So, or 4, I can't remember. I'll just pull them all out at once. And they bought 3 Squishmallows. And now that I think about it, I'm not even sure it's a viewer, because I got a message saying, hey, if I buy all these Squishmallows from you, can I get a shipping discount? And I said yes, but they didn't mention anything about being a viewer. But I'm going to say thank you anyways, just in case. This is an otter, and this is a husky with a tag, and this is a pig over here with a tag. And they sold anywhere between $14 and like $12.50 each. And we'll give them a shipping discount, so I'm into them for $3, so pretty good profit. The next one was a viewer for sure. I'm gonna say thank you to Becky just in case you were. This is Tom's Toy Shack on eBay. And they bought these. I almost didn't pick these up, but I was walking away and they gave me a crazy good deal. I'm like, ah, cool. I might hang them up or something. 3 Pac-Man tins. They left a message on eBay, and I usually don't read those because they're not on the screen anymore after I go to them. So if you want me to read something on screen, that one's new actually. Check it out. And that's my favorite. How cool is that? They're all cool. And said something about his wife being like one of the top Pac-Man players. That's really cool. And showed me a screenshot of something. So thank you to Tom's Toy Shack, and hopefully your wife enjoys those. They weren't huge sellers, but like I said, I got them so cheap, I figured what the heck. They sold for $23.90 plus shipping. Sold another Nike Dry Fit tee. I think larges are on top here. And these are selling again, $19.95 plus shipping. I should have kept out that Mo2 little miniature bin right here. I think this little battle axe, I think it's in here. Yep, there it is right there. In Taiwan battle axe. That sold for $12.30 plus shipping. Sold to Paula. Paula says she loves the videos, would love a sticker. So we throw in these stickers right here. Those right there, and a card when we know it's to a viewer. And when we think it might be to a viewer, we throw them in too. Unless I've run out of cards that I haven't signed. So there you go. Thank you. So a little Five Nights at Freddy's plush. Not for a whole ton, but $11.35 plus shipping after a discount. I'm thinking maybe they used code Commonwealth, or I sent an offer and this was to a viewer. And it went to Darcy. Buyer's note. Here's another fake sale. Thanks, Kevin, for the offer. My son is a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan. Boy, that's hard to say. Thanks for all the advice and experiences reselling. I've learned a lot. I'm only 2.5 years in, so I have a lot more to learn. Yeah, so do I, trust me. And I learn every single day from a lot of the folks who listen to this show. So thank you. Thanks for sharing your family and your animals. You guys are great. Darcy DeFranzo Morris, American Hound Reseller. Thank you very much, and thank you for the kind words as well. Sold something that was returned to me. I talked about this return not too long ago. A Nintendo Game Boy SP. It's a red one with the case, and we sold it for $69.95 the first time, and somebody sent it back, says there was a dent in it which there was, and there was a picture of it, but it wasn't really pointed out. And so they sent it back, and we sold it again, this time a little bit more explicitly with a little tiny dent in the top of it. Sold again, same price, 70 bucks plus shipping. As I have said before, I am no record expert, but this one I would have not thought was worth a whole bunch of money. There's 3 of them, Grace Jones, and we put them on a lot, and pretty iconic though. And it took a little while, just a couple weeks, but this lot sold. And it sold for over 40 bucks, $40.45 plus shipping. Talk about something that's been here for a long time. A little Hot Topic fig pin. I don't even know what these are really, but I've seen other people sell them, so I'm like, well, they must be worth something. And they sat here forever, GameStop. And I paid $2, so not a big deal. And they sold for $22.95 plus shipping. It seems like there's a few bins in here where things go to die. This is one of them, the Texas bin. And this has been in here forever. It's just a Lego lot. I can't even remember what the heck the Lego lot is. If it's space or something, I don't know. But that whole batch of Legos, whatever it is, sold for $37.95 plus shipping. Next item, even though it's not a high-priced item, is something I love to find because they're quick flippers. And I usually can get them for under $1. And I think I got this one for under $1, and it did not sit in the Cincinnati picker bin very long. It's the metal hard case Oakley cases. And I probably paid 50 cents for it, and it sold for 20 bucks plus shipping. I didn't think I'd see Reagan today after her gymnastics. How hot was it today in the gym?
It was so hot. The thermostat said it was 99.
Inside the gym while you guys were doing all your stuff. Holy moly. Hey, we are seeing tons of sales coming in from the Q3 booster sticker, the Junkyard sticker. I think y'all love that one. They will be gone quickly, I have no doubt. But we're only going to thank one person today, the very first person to buy, well, one person that bought the sticker. So go ahead.
Jenny got a CWP and CWF sticker, and then a CWP IKEA bag. And then Courtney got the first. Yeah. The first Junkyard.
And that's Robin's Nest, I believe. I think that's that Courtney. So there it is right there. The JYD, the Junkyard Enema Man Q3 booster sticker to get your store moving. So we will be thanking everybody who bought those, but we spread them out. So a bunch come in. We'll just spread them out over the next few videos. Thank you, Reagan.
Bye. And don't forget to get your stickers at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Hey, we are doing some shipping in here, and I forgot to do this one, so I'm throwing it earlier in the video. Coors Light hat, vintage silver bullet, $17.95 plus shipping. Hey, y'all, will you indulge me for a few seconds here so I can get that old history teacher out of me? Since it is July 4th today, I just wanted to wish y'all happy Independence Day, happy July 4th. We appreciate everything you do for us, but I just wanted to say, I guess it's kind of a personal note. I don't do this often, but I, for one, am eternally grateful to be born where I was and when I was. And, you know, this country is just, it's a different place, no doubt. And looking at, I was a history teacher, right? So when I looked back, and we would get through, I taught world history, AP World History, which was at that time the entire history of the world. And so we would get at the end of the year, we'd get towards the American centuries, you know, and we'd get towards the founding and all those different things. And the kids were obviously very interested in that, especially in the scope of all of the world history that they had learned. And I would always do a few things that would get them thinking about how fortunate they are, despite their situation. You know, and I had kids that were dirt poor, had nothing. And I had kids that had tons of money. It was a really unique school. There was like no middle class. There was nothing in between because of where we were situated. So some of them, like some of us, have, you know, we always focus on the things that aren't going the way that we want and we need, or the way we have expectations for them to go. And I would just say some things every once in a while. I'd say, hey, you know, you realize no matter who you are in this room, the poorest kid, the richest, you are among the wealthiest people that have ever lived on planet Earth. And that is the case. That is the truth. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we were born in the United States. And of course, most of them were. And I would get into different things and talk about, you know, our heritage essentially, and knowing that there's different perspectives on it. It's like there are in this audience, of course. And I would always ask them one simple question, and nobody ever had the right answer. And I think this is where everything lies, at the beauty of this country, And I would say, hey, where do your rights come from? And nobody ever could answer. They'd give all kinds of answers. The reality is it lies right there in the middle of the Declaration of Independence. We are endowed by your Creator with certain unalienable rights. And of course, among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which I think is an interesting phrase because so many, that's why we resell, right? We're pursuing our own direction and our own happiness in a way that is truly, in my opinion, in my view, a gift from God himself. So that may not be popular with everybody, but I just wanted to say that. And I would tell kids, I was like, listen, I realize there's might not even believe in a creator or believe in a God or disagree over all those kinds of things. But the beauty of that is the simple fact that nobody can take away your rights that are given to you by a creator. No politician, nobody at all. And I think that is the beauty of this country, along with another phrase that I think is really interesting right there in the middle of it. All men are created equal. And that was obviously a foundation stone for this country that we absolutely did not live up to. Let's just face facts. And we may not still live up to those facts today, but at the very heart of it is something that I think we should all be appreciative of and strive for. I used to tell them, because some of them would come up with arguments, and they're legitimate arguments, where they would look at the character of the individuals and the folks that set out this framework. And I said, well, we're all flawed in many, many ways, including all of us. And it doesn't mean that what they put in place wasn't something worth striving for. And I would bring up Lincoln. I would be like, hey, this is almost 100 years later here. And he is the fourscore years ago. Boy, I don't know if I know this. Our forefathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the idea that all men are created equal. So Lincoln said, hey, yeah, look, we've got all kinds of problems as a nation. However, that motto should still be what we strive for today. And then, of course, you fast forward to Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, and he's literally standing in front of Lincoln, who said those words, essentially referencing Jefferson, saying, hey, we're still not there yet. And then he gives his great speech. And all of that stuff ties together. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that, America, to me, is still worth fighting for. It's still something that we are incredibly privileged to be living in a country like this still today. And I can't stress that enough to my kids. And I'm just extremely grateful. And not just for everything that the country provides, but I'm also grateful for y'all out there, and I really do mean that. I appreciate it. No matter what you think politically or religiously or any of those things, I'm happy I'm living here, and I just can't believe that I could pursue my own dream, this ridiculous dream of selling things in a shed in my backyard and putting it on YouTube. And I owe it all to you guys, so thank you. I appreciate it. All right, y'all, thank you for joining us today. Let me know your comments on my comments. Let me know how your numbers are going. Let me know if eBay offered to bump you up. Let me know if you've got any contact from Whatnot or seen any of their pushes for new resellers and all that stuff. Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying your summertime as well. Thank you for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.